have something transformative I want to share with you today about your struggling reader. But first, I want to acknowledge that I used to make a really big mistake. When a child was struggling and just like resistant, they didn't want to do the reading, I would make these mistakes. Let's see if you do any of them. I would have them push through and do it anyway. I would say, "Oh, you got this, it's easy," discrediting how they feel about it in the moment. I would say, "If you finish now, I'll give you blah, blah, blah," and bribe them. Well, I noticed that that's not what I do anymore. And what I do now is actually really effective. Not just for getting to the objective, but it's also really effective at creating connection and honoring how a child is feeling. We don't get to say what's hard or easy for another child. Just because they did it another day doesn't mean that it's not hard today. So let me give you an example. I was going to read this passage with a child because A, he's a great reader, and B, he needs some support with taking quizzes at his school. So I pulled this out. It has little multiple choice questions, and I was just presented this to him to do. And he looked at this with wide eyes and was like, "We're not going to read all this today." And I said, "Oh, I don't know." Letting go of expectations. And then honoring, like, "Oh, it sounds like it feels like a lot for you." Yeah, it does. So even though I know and you know this child is perfectly capable of reading all this, for whatever reason, today it feels like too much. Maybe the print is too small. Maybe it's packed too much in one page. I don't know. I took out my scissors and I cut this thing apart until they were little strips. And then I rolled the strips up like so, stuck them in a balloon, and watch what happened. Once we introduced play, we had so much fun. He still read the same amount of information because he's capable, but he had zero resistance. He was engaged in play, and all of those skills that I knew he had were able to come forward with ease, with joy, through play. And that's the transformation I'm talking about. We're not changing the content. We're not dumbing it down. We're giving the same content, but we're giving it in smaller chunks. And that is a really great, successful way to honor that this feels like too much for your child. On this particular day, it does. And to allow them to play and bring in joy and engagement. And then I also let go of all expectation. I didn't know if we would make it through. And honestly, we didn't. We ran out of time. And it didn't matter because we can pick it back up next time. That world doesn't end on this worksheet being done today. So I want to remind you and honor your child, how they're feeling, break it down into small chunks, pop it into a game, and play. And when you do, you're going to see it makes everyone's day. Happy reading.